What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are looking at the receiver position for the Detroit Lions in the 2020 NFL season. So let's get it started. Welcome in, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And before we get this thing started, as you guys can see, the merch I'm playing, this ain't the merch. Look, I don't have this on my shop. I really don't. If I did, that'd be cool. I'm pretty sure I can't legally even have this on my shop. I'm pretty sure you had to get a little bit in trouble for that, but it is fire, so we're representing greatness. I know it's not Lions, but it's greatness, so we're wearing it today. Now, let's talk about the Lions receiver group. Now, in our last video we did like this, we looked at the Lions secondary, and we took a look at both safety and cornerback positions in the same video. But today we're just sticking to the receiver position. I always want to say wide receiver, but I feel like we should just say receiver. Is that wrong to just say receiver, because there are slot receivers, so they're not necessarily wide receivers, right? Or am I losing it? Or are they all called wide receivers? Or is it tight end? I don't know, okay? I really don't know. I think I'm losing at this point. I don't know what I titled the video. Either way, you know what I'm talking about, okay? We're not looking at tight ends. We're not looking at running backs. One, I think the tight end group has enough on its own that, that deserves its own video. There's a lot that goes into that tight end group. Even though there's not as many players as the receiver group, there's a lot that goes into it. So that deserves its own video. And then when you look at like the running back position, I mean, you could technically count that too, because they catch the ball in the backfield. So let's just stick to receivers. We got a lot of receivers to talk about, a lot of competition here, so it needs its own video. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first receiver we have to talk about today, man, and this is arguably the Lions' best positional group. Honestly, I don't really think there's too much to argue. I mean, I really can't think of another positional group that holds up against the receiver group. Honestly, on paper, this is proven, and we got some young potential guys. The only position group that I think that could come close is now the quarterback position, because we have an actual backup, and obviously Matthew Stafford's like the best player on the Lions. So I would say that position's close, but I still probably have to go with the receiver group, man. It's so good. It's the strength of our team, and it's one of the best in the league. I know some people don't look at it as the best in the league, but it's up there. It's up there, trust me, and it will be for 2020. So let's start off with the first receiver. I mean, it's an obvious one. It's Kenny Golladay, okay? We got to talk about Kenny Golladay first. I don't need to spend a lot of time here, but you definitely could spend tons of time raving about Kenny Golladay, because he is so good. The Northern Illinois product in the third round. Ever since he came into the league back in 2017, you could tell he was going to be a monster, and he has been. He has been a monster ever since he has been with the Detroit Lions, year in and year out, okay? His first season, maybe he didn't have the same stats that he put up last year, but when the ball goes to him, he makes a play. He's a deep threat. He's an underneath threat. He can do whatever you need him to do. He has the speed. He has the hands. He wins jump balls. I mean, he literally can do it all. He can play different receiver positions. He's just so good, and he's the next best wide receiver in the NFL. He's the next best wide receiver in the NFL. I'm just going to leave it right there, because at some point, this guy is going to just shock the league. I mean, at this point, he shocked me. I didn't think he'd be this great. You knew he'd be great, but this is at another level, okay? He is one of the best receivers in the league right now, and I think possibly next season we could be saying that this is the best receiver in the league. And you know what's crazy about all of this? Is that this guy's only been in the league since 2017. I mean, think about it. He is still on his rookie contract. He is on his contract year. So hold up. You're telling me this monster that had 1,190 yards last season, that led the league in touchdowns, with half of the season with a backup quarterback, is going into his contract year? No. Oh my gosh, he's going to be an absolute beast next season. This guy could definitely easily have the best season he's ever had next season, because obviously, he's going to want to get paid. And if that is the case, the NFL needs to watch out. I think by averages, he would have had over 1,300 yards if Matthew Stafford would have stayed healthy. So, yeah, Kenny Galladay's going to be a problem next season. NFL, watch out. He's already been a problem, but oh man, Kenny Golladay, he's really good. So yeah, he's gonna make the team. I have a good feeling he's gonna make the team. I know, bold prediction, he's gonna make the team. Now let's keep it moving though. The next receiver we have is Marvin Jones Jr., the wide receiver that came from Cincinnati. The first, I think it was the first move that Bob Quinn made as the Detroit Lions general manager. He was very excited about this move, and it has worked out really, really well for the Detroit Lions. So first off, let's just give a hand for Bob Quinn for bringing in Marvin Jones Jr. Good job, Bob Quinn. And this guy, ever since he's left Cincinnati, has been even better in Detroit, if you ask me. Sure, he's had some pretty good years with Cincinnati, but his second year with the Detroit Lions, the dude had over 1,100 yards receiving. Over 1,100 yards receiving in his second year. Oh my gosh. Dude's been really, really good. Now, last two seasons, unfortunately, he's missed a couple of games because of injuries. But when he is on the field, there are times when you say to yourself, this is the best wide receiver in Detroit. He's still the best receiver in Detroit. Go watch him against Oakland, or, well, they're not Oakland anymore. The Raiders. Go watch him against the Raiders. Go watch him against the Minnesota Vikings when he put up 4 touchdowns in one game. Yes, 4 TDs in one game. Yes, we lost that game, but he was on a tear. I mean, I'm telling you, this guy is really, really good. And when Marvin Jones Jr. is healthy, you got a big problem here. You got one of the best duos in the NFL. And this is why I say, do not trade away Marvin Jones. All right, do not break up this duo. Do not break up the greatness that we have here between Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones Jr. Now, he is also on his contract year, so he could play really well. We don't know if he's going to be back. I wouldn't be shocked if he is back and we try to give him another contract. We'll see how expensive it is, because at this point, he's not the youngest wide receiver anymore. You know, I would say he's a veteran at this point. He's been in the league since 2012, so he's not the youngest anymore. He's had a couple of injury concerns, so maybe his price goes down, and if we can bring him back, I definitely would, because Marvin Jones, man, when he is on the field, he is an absolute problem, okay? He's a unit. But the good thing is that now we have the depth so that when he's not on the field, I think we have some really talented receivers to step in for him. So let's keep moving down. Marvin Jones Jr., once again, I have a feeling this guy will make the team. Next up, we have Danny Amendola, the receiver, the slot receiver this time, that came from Miami and New England, now with the Detroit Lions, who had maybe his best statistic, he had one of the best statistical seasons of his old career, man. This dude's been in the league for a long time. All right, he's been in the league for a very long time, and last season was one of the best years he's ever put up at his age, okay? He's not young anymore. At his age, one of the best seasons he's ever had came with Matthew Stafford. I mean, Matthew Stafford just makes some receivers look great. They really don't hear about after they leave, or, you know, maybe they didn't hear about him as much until they came to Detroit, okay? There's a lot of really good examples for that, okay? Chris Durham, who is an absolute great example, and then we saw, you know, Danny Amendola, Marvin Hall. There's a lot of examples, but you see a guy like Danny Amendola, man, he is an absolute beast for the Detroit Lions. And I know some people don't love it because he doesn't have that blazing speed. He's not maybe the most exciting player that you got a game plan for him, but he just does his job, and he does it consistently. He does it well. He does it efficiently. He's not dropping a lot of balls. He's making big catches when you need him the most. Kind of a little bit like Anquan Bolden a little bit. I remember when he was here back in 2016. That's what it reminds me of a little bit. He's just very clutch. Very clutch. Makes the plays he has to. Puts in the work, and he's good. He's good. I mean, you can't take it away from him. You know, maybe he's not the biggest threat on the offense, but the other guys open him up, and he takes advantage. So for me, Danny Amendola, once again, I have a feeling he'll make the team, and he'll probably be a starter. Let's keep moving down. Well, I guess if you're talking like three receiver sets, then he'll be a starter. The next wide receiver, or the next receiver that we have, is Marvin Hall. Marvin Hall, Deep Ball Hall. We've done a video on the legend of Deep Ball Hall, and Deep Ball Hall comes up next for me, man. Now, Deep Ball Hall does not have a lot of receptions with the Detroit Lions. Like, not a lot at all. I mean, just like I had, just like you could hold it in two hands how many receptions this guy has. However, he has well over 200 yards receiving. I mean, he has tons of yards, not that many receptions. How does it happen? I have no idea. We signed him from the Atlanta Falcons. You know, he became available. We brought him in from Atlanta. And I'm like, all right, you know, hey, we got a nice little kick returner, maybe like a depth guy. All of a sudden, Deep Ball Hall comes in, and he's just making game-changing plays. Over 40 yards reception at one point. The dude's out there making these huge grabs, and it's like, this is literally a game changer. Like, you only need one of these a game to change it. And that's what he's doing. And Marvin Hall, 27 years old, is also on the final year of his deal. Wow. So the first four wide receivers that we went through are on the final year of their deal. Whoa, okay. Man, these guys are really going to be playing for something. We'll see how this goes. But Marvin Hall, man, Deep Ball Hall, I love Deep Ball Hall. I definitely think he makes the team. I mean, some people don't think he will. I think he was utilized a lot last season in a lot of different positions. He's just really good. And if you want that guy that has that blazing speed out of the four, it's Deep Ball Hall. He has a nickname for a reason. He comes in number 4. Hopping into our 5th receiver we're going to be looking at today, and that is the new man in town. That is Quintin Cephas, the rookie out of Wisconsin. Quintin Cephas, kind of like Danny Amendola, isn't the fast receiver you will find. A lot of people try to compare him to Anquan Bolden because he's not. He's not that fast receiver. That was one of the biggest concerns coming into the draft for Quintin Cephas. But what he does well and what he does better than most players is catch the football, okay? He catches the football. He has some of the best hands, the best concentration in college football when it comes to being a receiver, and he also can block at a very high level down the field. Quintin Cephas may not be the fastest player, and some people believe that he'll be better in the slot position, and maybe he will next season. Maybe Danny Amendola is gone, and we bump him into the slot. He's got some size on him still, so he's not really small, but he just makes plays, man. He finds a way to get a little bit of separation. He has great hands, and that's what I really look for when a receiver, right? If I'm throwing the ball to you, if you get your hands on it, are you going to catch it, okay? If you touch it, you catch it. You ever heard that? Quintin Cephas is coming down with the football, and because of that, I think Quintin makes the team. All right, he was a day 3 pick by the Detroit Lions in this year's draft, and without a doubt, I think he makes the team. I just see a lot of talent here. Yeah, he's not the fastest, but speed isn't everything. All right, speed is not everything. It's a lot about change of pace, change of speed, and then having hands because you're a receiver, which he does, and his ability to block takes him to another level. So Quintin Cephas comes in number 5. Now, let's hop into the next couple of receivers, but what's interesting about these guys is that we have to keep in mind that some of these guys may not make the team. We've went through 5 receivers so far, and honestly, some of the guys I've already named may not make it. We're not sure. But we've went through 5 so far, and we only kept 5 in 2019. And we got a lot of talent to go, so let's keep it rolling. Next up, we have Geronimo Ellison, the former Green Bay Packer. Now, I don't like you because you were a former Green Bay Packer. But now that you're a Detroit Lions, I do like you, okay? Look, when you're a Packer, I didn't like you. Now you're a Lion. I do like you. I'm rooting for you. And I think this guy's going to be a real threat. Like, I know some people are like, oh, yeah, he doesn't catch that well. He fumbles too much. He does have a couple of fumbles, but he hasn't had the ball in his hands that many times. So, I don't know. Take that how you want to. He also has a pretty solid catch percentage. I mean, he's not taking the deep shots that a guy like Kenny Golladay is, but it's similar to his catch percentage. He's not bad. This dude was an absolute monster. He had a little bit of an injury that kind of slowed him down, and he's still trying to kind of come back from that. But he's still a good receiver. You still see flashes. He still did good stuff for Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, I mean, he's going to compete because he is proven. So he's going to push guys like Quintin Cephas and Marvin Hall because obviously this guy wants to make the team. He's on a one-year deal. He doesn't want to be going nowhere. He wants to make a team, and he's sitting here with an opportunity to do it, to then go play against his NFC North team in the Green Bay Packers twice a year. He's going to want to make the football team, and we know we possibly could keep more receivers this season because now it is 55-man roster, but it's still going to be really tough to justify how many you're going to keep per position. So for me, man, Geronimo Ellison is like that star. He's that player you got to keep an eye on. What will happen with Geronimo? I have no idea. That's the most confusing one because once you drafted Quintin Cephas, Jamal Agnew just got really interesting. I have no idea if this guy will make the team or not. Let's keep moving down. Next up, we have Chris Lacy. Now, Chris Lacy has been here for a little while. Kind of just a nice little depth guy. We haven't really seen him play too much, so there's not a lot of huge expectations for Chris Lacy. He's kind of just a nice depth receiver. Unfortunately, I just really don't see a spot for him in the 2020 NFL season. I mean, shoot, I love Chris Lacy. I love the work ethic. Last season, he was named the Lions standout player in the offseason. So, you know what? Obviously, he's going to compete for a spot. I mean, if you look at last season, he actually was on the 53-man roster going into the year. So he's not bad. I mean, he has the potential. It's there. He can play. I just don't see a spot for him because of how many moves the Lions made this offseason. I mean, you didn't have to bring in Quintin and Geronimo Ellison, but you did. And since you did, I really don't see a spot for Chris Lacy. So for me, this is a tough one that I don't necessarily think will make the team. Then you have Jamal Agnew. Okay, now here's where stuff gets interesting. How many receivers do we have this year? Yes, we have a guy that's trying to go from cornerback to receiver, our kick returner, our punt returner, Jamal Agnew. Now, Jamal Agnew is fast. This guy is a threat when he's on the field, and that's what the Detroit Lions want to use him for offensively. Sometimes even as a decoy. But he's trying to move to that receiver position. Really hasn't done too well at the cornerback spot. I will say that. But man, this is a tough position to try to come into because it is deep. It's very deep. And honestly, man, I don't know what the heck his role is going to look like, even if he does make the team. It's going to be tough for him to make the team as a Detroit Lions receiver because, again, we only kept 5 last season, and we've already went through multiple guys that could easily make the team. Now, what he does have going for him is he is our returner. However, the Lions drafted guys this offseason. They have other guys on the roster that have done it before that can play that position. So, if the Lions don't think they're dropping too far off, if they really don't think there's a drop-off at all at the returner position, putting someone else back there, then all of a sudden, Jamal Agnew may be out of a role. Because Agnew is explosive in the return game. The only problem is he has a couple of problems with fumbling. And you obviously can't have that because that is an absolute game changer. So let's keep moving down. Next up, we have Travis Fulgham, the player out of Old Dominion. Now, Travis Fulgham, we've done a video on him. This story is incredible. Okay, the fact that Travis Fulgham is even in the NFL, I got to give a clap up for him. So I always root for Travis Fulgham because it's absolutely crazy how, the journey that he took to be where he is now. If you guys want to know about that, I have a story on it. You can definitely go check that video out. So I always root for Travis Fulgham. Last year, he was on the final 53-man roster, but I'm pretty sure that he was actually brought back down, and then Tom Kennedy actually stepped up into that role during the season. So that's a little bit concerning. He has the size to be a go up and get it type of receiver. We just really haven't seen it yet. So because of that, I don't necessarily see a role here. And then you have a guy in Victor Bolden. Now, Victor Bolden's interesting. He's a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, and he could also play the return man position. And this is a guy we really overlook a lot. A lot of times people forget who the heck is Victor Bolden. Well, Victor Bolden Jr. has actually played as a returner before. Victor Bolden Jr. is not going to just go away easily. However, once again, I really don't see a spot for him here. We've seen videos of him doing workouts this offseason with other players, but man, this receiver group is just so deep. Then you have Jeremy Davis, who actually did a little video for me, which I really appreciated. But Jeremy Davis, a guy with the Chargers, now a Detroit Lion, not the fastest receiver. Okay, maybe a little bit more like Quintez here. Not the fastest. Went to Connecticut in college, had some good hands, put up some solid numbers. And again, I don't know where he's going to fit in. And then finally, you have Tom Kennedy, who I said last year kind of stepped in. He was signed to the active roster. But who knows if he makes the team this year? We have tons of receivers, and I could see the Lions keeping 6. I could see them try to keep 6 at this positional group this year. But even that, you're still losing a lot of good talent. So we'll see what happens, man. I hope at least if some of these guys don't make the team, they end up elsewhere so they have an opportunity to play because there's too much talent in this room to go to waste, right? There's too much talent here for these guys to be sitting at home. So Kenny Golladay makes it, Marvin Jones makes it, Danny Amendola makes it, Marvin Hall makes it, Quintin Cephas makes it for me. Those are the 5. And then if another one happens, will it be Ellison? I think it really comes down to Ellison, Agnew. I feel like it comes down to Agnew and Ellison. But who knows, man? It's really tough. So comment below who the Lions will keep at the receiver position. This is the Lions' best receiver position. This is the Lions' best positional group. And it may be looked at as the best receiver group in 2020. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. I mean, the numbers they put up last season with Matthew Stafford, I said it once, I'll say it again. If Matthew Stafford was healthy, the Lions would have led the league in passing yards. So let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.